Alright, so I am working away in the shop here, and I wanted to get to this Seiko. Some of you guys have noticed it, and you've been mentioning it in the comments. This is my new work watch. I got it from a buddy of mine who, tiny guy actually, my buddy Chad. He bought this new, and he's a machinist. He's working in his shop all the time, and he beat the heck out of it. So it's pretty. The lens is scratched up on it here, and the bezel. You know, I'm going to tell you what I learned about it, exactly what it is, and what I want to do with it. And I welcome your suggestions. It's okay. I had to have a link added to the band. When I got it from him, he made it as big as he could, and he gave me the 2 extra links that he took out for his wrist. Actually, I had to measure my wrist. It turned out I got a 7 5/8 inch wrist, which I think is a little odd. I don't feel like I've got big wrists or anything, but when I watch other watch videos, a lot of the guys have like 6, 6.5, 7, maybe 7 1/4 when they mention it. I don't know what that means. But anyhow, it's cool. It's called the Turtle. The way you want to check for the age on these things is on the bottom here, on the inside of the, right where that cap screws on, there's a number on the bottom here. At the bottom or the top? I guess it doesn't really matter. On the bottom right here. It's right across the bottom here. And the first number is the last digit of the year it was made. The second number is the month. So this was made, and I know, and the other thing you want to look at is there's a number here. I don't know if you're seeing it or not. But that's the movement. And that movement didn't exist until 2011. So this is a 2017, made in January 2017. 200 meter water resistance, you know, it's a Seiko, man. It's a very good watch. I was unaware, and I've wanted a decent watch for a long time. I always wore a watch as a kid. As a matter of fact, I brought this to a watch place. They added a link for me, although I got to go back because the pins started coming out. It's pins and collars is the system for this band. So I got to go back over there today and have him adjust that because he didn't get it right. And I went over there the other day with one of the watches my dad gave me as a kid, which was a Waltham 17 jewel shock proof, which it wasn't because the glass was broken on it, the crystal. So I'm going to have them, they're going to take the numbers off and repaint the dial and put it all back together. It should look almost like new, and it's just a sentimental thing for me. But I just thought you guys would get a kick out of this. And, you know, one of the reasons why I stopped wearing a watch was because of the phone. And my buddy Dave made a point to me the other day. He said, well, you know, the benefit of wearing a watch is you can glance at the time and not get lost in your phone. Right? That's a thing that we all do. We pick up the phone, look at the time, and then we go, oh, we got an email or a notification on Instagram or Facebook or something. And then we lose 5 or 10 or 15 minutes or something looking at stuff on the internet when all you needed to do is know what time it was. It's crazy, right? So what I'm thinking about doing is, I mean, I should just leave it as it is because I am wearing it to work. But this is a proprietary thing, this crystal that Seiko talks about that they use. It's not actually a sapphire crystal, and I would prefer to have that. So I'm considering a domed. The watch guy didn't want me to go with the domed lens. Helicopters. So the guy at the watch joint didn't want me to go with the domed, and they're very specific. They want me to get Seiko parts if they can't find them. I told them it's all on eBay. You can replace the bezel. You can replace just the bezel insert. You can, you know, I'm going to put a sapphire crystal on it, but I like the dome because it magnifies a little bit, and I'm getting older. You know, helps to see the dial a little bit better. I mean, I can read all of this from here. It's not that big of a deal. I know it's Friday the 14th. By the way, this is a Japan model. So this would be the srp773J. And people say that the Japan models hold their value a little bit more. They're worth a few more bucks. They say that there's not a difference between these and where the other ones are made. But then again, I've been watching all of these videos, and they also talk about alignment. This has no alignment issues. Everything works perfect here. So it's not only helicopters, it's garbage day. So anyhow, yeah, what I've noticed is people will talk about the alignment, and what I'm picking up in the videos, most of the people who complain, and they're not really complaining, they just bring it up. I was unaware of this. What I've noticed is the watches that the people are talking about that are a little bit out of alignment tend to not be the Japan models. I don't know if that's accurate, but maybe that's one of the reasons why you might want a J model. So apparently these things mod out. I mean, people go crazy with these things changing around. You can change everything on them. I'm curious. The guy at the watch place said that he doesn't like the idea of the dome because he says if it breaks in and it wrecks the face and everything else. But I'm thinking, why am I going to break that? And everybody else has the more common sense approach of if it's a domed crystal, then you're going to whack that more, and that's a possibility. But if it's a sapphire crystal, I think you got less to worry about, right? Because it's not as easily scratched. So I'm still leaning towards it, and we'll just see how it goes. But I thought you guys would get a kick out of it. I'll take the camera out of the tripod and give you some tighter shots of it. I'm very pleased with it. It wears well. I've got it adjusted in a way that I think is just right, because I can lock it on my wrist right here. So if I want to push it right to that spot and work and keep it there, it works. And if I just slide it down a hair, then it's nice and it's kind of loose and it's breathable. You know, there's enough room there for air to get through it, and I think it's just right. And I got to tell you, I do like the way it looks on there. Not that I care that much, but it's good. Anyhow, I'm pretty stoked. I feel like a grown-up. That's not easy for me. Let me spin my whole body around. That's ridiculous, right? Let me take this off the tripod, and then you guys can see this better. Might as well show it to you on the wrist first. It's beveled front and back, so it's one of the nice things about it. By the way, right here from this shot is why they call it the turtle. On either side of the band, you got a front flipper, you got a rear flipper, you got his head poking out there, and then you got the shell. So you understand why they call it the turtle. You see the relief here on the back, like I was saying. There's one on the front as well, but it's a little bit obscured by the knob there. But it makes it comfortable, you know, when you're actually working in it, right? So you can flex your wrist, and the watch is not digging into your wrist. A lot of watches don't have that. That was always a problem for me in the past with watches because, you know, I'm working for a living. So let me get it off my wrist and try to get some tight shots of some of the details on it for you. I don't know if I can get that to focus down here. Does not want to focus, but right down in here it does say made in Japan. This, I'll tell you, the dial, I went down the rabbit hole on this, and this is right out of like 1976 for that face. You see the sword up top. Some people think it looks like a flipper, but that's a sword, and that's pretty much exactly what the 76 dial looked like, which I dig on. Other than that, the X mark there underneath the center where the hands are attached, right above where it says automatic. I discovered that you want both of the hands to be down here when you are adjusting the date and time. Also, I was told by the watch guys that you really shouldn't wear this in a super hot shower for a long period of time, or in a hot tub, hot springs, saunas, things like that, because it will change the metal enough, right? It'll swell like metal does with the heat, and then you lose a little bit of the seal, and you can end up with condensation inside the watch. So it's something that you might want to be aware of. Never been a bracelet guy before, but I also never had one that I had really dialed in right. So that's probably why. Got the tsunami logo there. Not the best. I know there's actually guys out there that have these watch videos, and I think what I'm doing with this thing they would consider sacrilege. I mean, I'm kind of blown away, to be honest with you, about the way these guys treat their watches, where they collect them and they wear them out to lunch at a restaurant someplace. Some of them are just working in an office, and that makes sense. They see a watch being treated like this, it just appalls them. I don't know why. I mean, you get a watch to wear it, man. If you're a working dude, blue collar guy, this is what your watch is going to end up looking like after a while, right? This watch, when it was new, was about 500 bucks. You could get it for around $4 right now. And also, this is a blue face, blue bezel, blue dial, blue bezel. I don't know if that's really showing up here, the way the light is, but that's what it is, blue on blue. And I've discovered that this srp773 seems to hold its value more than maybe the black face. I don't know, but that's what I'm seeing numbers wise. And you might get lucky and find one of these for around 300, but they seem to be going for still close to 400 bucks or so, which I find interesting. Again, for me, it's not an investment. I got this in a trade for something that was worth good money to a collector, but I didn't pay much for it, and I got this from a good pal. I mean, we're very good friends, and you know, he was going to sell this to me for not a lot of money anyhow, and I just offered him up the trade. So I didn't pay. I think I only paid like 68 bucks for the item I traded him, and then there was another 20 really, because I bought these manuals for it. So $88, and I ended up with a nice turtle. I think that's a pretty good trade. As a matter of fact, it's such a good deal that it is worth it to me to buy a new bezel and get a new crystal on it, because I'd still have less invested in this thing than what it would cost me to buy even a new one right now. So to me, that's a good deal. Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed this video. I know for watch people, it's not, I don't think it's as pro as what they're used to. But then again, they're just used to some guy sitting there. Either he's just showing you the watch and talking, and it's a beautiful set and on a nice cushioned surface or clean surface, and you know, this is not your typical watch video, I guess. And what I'll do is I'll do a short video on this once I get the work done to it. It's not a rush for me. I'll source. As a matter of fact, if you guys wouldn't mind, if you know more about this than I do, please put links in the comments of the appropriate parts for me. I've seen them already. The parts I'm looking at on eBay are in bags that are labeled Seiko. They've got the part numbers on them. I prefer to go with Seiko parts, but I'm unaware of anything. This is all new to me. So if you could find me a flat and a domed crystal, sapphire crystal, that is our Seiko parts, if that's actually a thing, as well as the bezel, I'd really appreciate it. I've seen the bezel anywhere from $100 to 150 bucks or so. Of course, I could do the insert myself. The bezel's easy to do myself, but I figure if I'm going to have the crystal replaced, I should just have both done at the same time by the same guy. So anyhow, you guys be good to one another. I hope you enjoyed this. Have a great day. This is not going to turn into a watch channel. Don't worry. There's enough of them out there already.